Plant-based diet versus creature-based diet. Dr. Robert Cassar, eartheracademy.com. Rethinking reality. Plant-based diet versus the creature-based diet. Wow. Okay, creature-based, animal-based, fish, eggs, meat of any type, flesh of any type, anything from an animal or anything produced from anything from the animal insect world, I guess, right? Okay, so what is a plant-based diet? What is it based upon? Well, I know for fact because for 15 years I've been on a plant-based diet. And I had every type of superfood you could imagine since I own a superfood company, earthshiftproducts.com. I thought these types of, well, most of them indigenous types foods, maca, blue-green algae, chlorella, all different types of seaweeds and sea vegetables and anything you could imagine from just anything that you could imagine, okay, from shilajit to herbs, spices, resins, all things that basically would be advantageous in a plant-based, whole plant-based diet. So a creature-based diet, of course, and there's been lots of different civilizations that have been pretty much creature-based because that's all they got. They don't have any plants. But the confusion is, at this time, okay, remember, is having plants, what is it going to do for you? It is a detoxification and cleansing diet. When I went ahead and did my even veganism, okay, trials, remember, not having any animal products whatsoever. And remember, I'm into, as well, some people are, into peak performance. And I found out my peak performance on the veganism diet died very quickly. And I could last about 6 months on it before, of course I could last longer. That's not the case. I didn't want to survive. I wanted to do peak performance. Remember, I'm already at a certain level of performance. And all I want to do is see if I can maintain or can I advance. So the vegan diet, I found out, for me, okay, it can be for whatever it wants to be for you, but for me it was a spiritual fast. A spiritual fast to stay away from maybe all different types of more dense types foods. Now, remember, all these have so many caveats and so many different layers between them. A vegetarian diet, you can last way longer on that diet. Remember, vegetarian means you're going to have eggs, you're going to have dairy, you're going to have some cheese. And so that's what I was primarily doing, an organic, okay, pretty much raw, very low carb, plant-based diet. And I had eggs 2-3 times a week, sometimes 4, depending on how malnourished I felt. And, well, that lasted about 12 years for me, doing the plant-based diet. Remember, I was doing everything, all the supplements, B12, everything you could imagine. Okay, EPA, all the different, things that they said that I needed in my, well, sort of deficient diet. Because if not, I wouldn't have to take those supplements if I didn't have, well, if I had B12 in my diet, if I had creatine in my diet, if I had, soluble A, D, E, and K. I didn't know that because, of course, I was believing in a lot of the literature. Because the literature, of course, is handed down to the doctors, and the doctors read the literature like it's sort of like gospel. But most of the literature, if you really read through it, of course, are, well, all have agendas behind the scene. Everything. Look, put it this way. You don't dig a hole in your backyard just because you just want a hole. You're going to plant something in it. You're going to do something. You're going to set up a trap so someone will trip in it, right? So the difference between a plant-based, whole plant-based diet is a cleansing and detoxification diet. And if you wanted to rebuild yourself, because that's what I'm doing right now I'm been on a pretty much as low as I can oxalate, phytic acid, isoflavins, okay, lectins, all different things that have been irritating my stomach, my joints, well, a lot of things over time. Remember, oxalates are crystals, and they're loaded in spinach, kale. Most of the vegetables have tons of oxalates in them. And of course, if you eat them raw, it's even worse. But if you steam them or maybe pressure cook them like we used to, well, then that spinach maybe will lose some of its oxalates, but they'll all still have these, well, these phytoalexins, they're called, and these are certain types of plant defense mechanisms that are in these plants. And if you eat too many of them, okay, a green smoothie, remember, think of it this way: a smoothie that you're having with cabbage, kale, spinach, broccoli, whatever, a bunch of vegetables, a bunch of different things, okay, a big, you know, a blender of that, it's going to give you over 1,000 milligrams of oxalates, okay, maybe more, is because the blender can go ahead and give you way more than what they say 1 cup of almonds will give you of oxalates, 1 cup of cacao will give you with oxalates, potatoes, lectins, isoflavones, beans, phytoestrogens, okay, and mostly all the plants, especially soy, flax, okay, beer, hops, these are phytoestrogens. Then you have the xenoestrogens, which are the chemical estrogens, and those are, of course, sprayed on the plants: glyphosate, atrazine, glyphosate, and a host of other types of, well, estrogen mimicking of endocrine disruptors is what they are. So my diet at this time is to be able to decrease the oxalate load that I have accumulated, just because I was pretty much crippled in my hip and my back, my joints, my arms. Okay, everything was hurting so much I couldn't even go up a flight of bloody stairs. And that's not good when I just bought a house with 3 floors of stairs. So creature-based is because you're going to rebuild yourself with mitochondria of biologically based creatures that are similar in your biology and have the genetic and or the genome that is closely related to you. So you want to rebuild your liver? How do you think you're going to do that? With kale? You think you're going to do that with what? Eating herbs? You could get rid of maybe some of the toxicity and some of the parasites, but that's what the plants do. Remember, they're mostly for detoxification and cleansing and medicinal values. Very few of them can support the full structured amino acid profiles, of course, that flesh will give you. Yeah, they have amino acid profiles, but they're all weak. Remember, no B12, vitamins, riboflavin, very few, and or phytic acid and all these different plants to make it so you can't absorb the bloody things. And what's phytic acid, guys? We'll be doing some different videos on this, is because this needs to be understood. Most of the people that are on a vegetarian diet or vegan diet, you have a high oxalate diet, a high diet in lectins, which are the potato peels, okay, a lot of the different types of beans. Okay, how much estrogen do you have extra in your system? Phytoestrogen. Are you effeminized? Do you have man boobs? Are you a female that, of course, maybe feels she's getting her menopause way earlier and or she's becoming way more masculine than she wants to be? Well, these are endocrine disruptors, and they're in your greens, nuts, seeds. Okay, they're in your conventionally grown meat. Most of the meat, as you can see, okay, eating uninfected flesh is going to rebuild you. If you eat infected flesh, it will do nothing more than pass disease, as I've talked about for many years about parasites being in the meat. Yeah, of infected flesh. So most of the animals, remember, that are being fed, okay, the bottom of the dump of all the grains that we can't sell humans, all the soy cake and all the things they press to get oils out and so forth, that's the garbage they feed the animals, the chickens, the farm fresh fish. Okay, farm fresh fish are garbage. Okay, conventionally grown meat, if you're going to rebuild yourself, is garbage. Why? It's because it's full of estradiols. Okay, all these estrogens. How's that? Well, that's what happens when you put certain types of mold capsules in ears of cattle to be able to do what? To make them get fatter, chubbier, make them weigh more, get bigger. Okay, obesity. And how does it happen? In mold. Okay, so they feed them moldy grain, the bottom of the barrel. These cattle thrive. They don't thrive on it. They have to give them antibiotics, vaccines, hormones, all that kind of stuff to make sure, okay, that these animals can go ahead and handle all these mycotoxins. The meat becomes acidic. These are conventional meats. Okay, anything conventional, that's basically anything that's being fed wheat, corn, soy, any of the grains. Remember, cattle eat grass. They don't eat bloody seeds and soy and all this kind of stuff. So if you feed them moldy hay, you feed them moldy grains or moldy food, which is not, well, permissible for humans to eat because it's got mold in it. It will, and it's been shown, I'm not saying this because of anything, because it's just making it up. The mold produces the estrogen. It excites the system here to make, of course, the mold, giving whatever eats it. You live in mold, maybe it's also giving you estrogen. Maybe it's cutting off your testosterone. Whatever it's doing, it's imbalancing the chemicals in your body because of the mold. It goes into your body, and now you get fat, you get obese, you get chubby, you get lazy, you get sick. Okay, that's just the external visual part. So anyways, grass-fed flesh, wild-caught fish, fertile eggs, saturated fats from uninfected animals, these types of creature-based mitochondria will rebuild you. Yes, they will. That's what I'm doing right now. Rebuilding myself from, well, the damage that I caused myself doing 15 years of on and off vegan, but only a few times, just because I just knew that why am I going to deplete my body of cholesterol when, of course, cholesterol is the precursor to testosterone, and is there a war on somebody's hormones here or on somebody's reproductive organs? Well, we can see it in the bees, the birds, the insects. You can see it in everything, anything that is, well, being sidetracked, as you can say, to becoming, well, not becoming, but to be able to become pregnant is because there's pheromones involved. Insects don't just have sex. No, they don't. Okay, so if you've got all these different types of chemicals in the meat, in your grains, in your nuts, in your seeds, okay, glyphosate, herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, all different types of whatever chemicals that are conventionally grown when you are just doing commercial farming. Okay, so the difference between plants and creature-based. Creature-based, if you're sick and have autoimmune system like I had, joint inflammation, these plants cause us to get a lot of inflammation. Okay, turmeric, of course, is an anti-inflammatory. Okay, when you take it in dosages like a medicine, but if you take it every bloody day, it's just like everything else. All you're doing is assaulting your system and overloading it. Okay, and that's not good. And this is what I was doing. Loading myself up with all these different herbs and cacao and all coconut oil, all the things that are, well, I was trying to become a ruminant. And a ruminant animal, of course, is an animal that has several different, well, has a different stomach than we do, and it has a fermented chamber to be able to break down things that we can't break down because we don't have ferment chambers. So my ferment chamber, if I want to have vegetables, okay, it's not that I'm just eating flesh right now, but if I want to have any vegetables, I ferment them first. Because that's the way we used to do it before. Why? Because it makes it bioavailable, and the ferment that's on my table is like the fermented gut, the rumen of the ruminant. Okay, their fermented chamber's in their belly, and mine's on my counter. Okay, so the difference between the flesh-oriented diet or a mitochondria-based oriented diet or a creature-based oriented diet is to be able to take back some of the mitochondria that were in biologically similar types of organisms and put them into yours to help you rebuild yourself. Okay, plants, remember, will detox, will help you wash out. They will give you some nutrition. There's no question. The problem is they won't give you the complete nutrition you need. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin A, K, okay, creatine, creatinine, all the different things that basically, all the B vitamins, most of them, you're not breaking things down as efficient as you think, especially once your intestinal tract starts to get the wrath of oxalates like mine did. You'll start to bleed out of your intestines, out of your rear end actually. Mine was bleeding for about 1.5 years from having too much irritation and inflammation from my diet, which of course was all plants. 97% of my diet was plants, except for the couple of eggs that I ate several times a week, and the cheese and a little bit of butter to fry my eggs up in. Okay, I lasted as long as I did is because of the small amount of creature-based foods I was putting in myself to give my brain cholesterol so I could keep it sharp, so I could go ahead and have creatine, okay? now in a creature-based diet, and of course creature-based diet means I'm going to work out right now, and that's where I'm going. I'm going to work out. I had liver this morning and 3 eggs, fertile eggs with liver. It's a pate liver. Okay, anyways, that's it. We'll see you on the next video, and we'll keep on explaining this. Remember, the plant system is to detoxify you and cleanse you. And it also is for medicinal values. Okay, it is very low in the level of what you'd call nutrition, is because it's not nutrition what's in the plant, it's what you can absorb that's in the plant with the anti-nutrients that are in the plants, the phytoalexins that are in the plant, okay, which are the defense mechanisms, and all these different mechanisms, just like they're around, you know, seeds and nuts, they all have defense mechanisms in them, so they don't get eaten as much because it gives somebody a stomach ache. And we just, of course, overload on all these different types of well, mycotoxins, oxalates, lectins, and everything, and we expect our intestinal tract to be sane. And after a while, guys, you're going to have to figure it out, okay, like I did. You don't figure things out unless you get sick. And if you get sick, well, then you're going to have to backpedal, like I did, and get off things that are very inflammatory, which would be what? Pretty much all the nuts, the grains, the seeds, the legumes, all this kind of stuff. Okay, that's it. I'm going to work out. I got to repark this thing. Okay, aloha.